So, hello everybody. Welcome to Composers Roundtable episode 9. I'm Samuel Tornquist. My co-host is Simeon Amburgey, and today we are
Hey
honored
guys.
to have the composer, pianist, teacher, and YouTuber Christopher Siu, if I pronounced that
Perfect.
correctly.
Like, see you later.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. So, just one thing. If you're watching this live, don't hesitate. You can always ask questions for Chris, and if we get to them, we will ask him for you. All right, so welcome, Chris.
Thank
So,
you.
for those who don't know you, could you let our audience know just a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure. And well, I guess my musical journey really started when I was 5 years old. As any typical Asian household would have it, they asked me what instrument do I want to start with, and I started with piano naturally, and then I was classically trained up until maybe 14, 15 years old. I was doing competitions and festivals, and did a lot of practicing, but I was never really like super into as much as probably other performers would be, like concert pianists. And so when it came time to go to university, I was kind of deciding which program to choose. And one of my parents were saying, oh, choose a practical option, go into nursing. So I was like, okay, I'll do a year of nursing. So I did a year of nursing at McMaster University. And while I really enjoyed the community, the food was great, and the people were amazing, the program itself wasn't really for me. So then I decided to switch out of that. And my other parent, my dad, really wanted me to follow my passion, music. And I was like, okay, well, let's do that instead. So I enrolled into classical piano performance, did that for 4 years. But even though I got my bachelor's degree in performance, throughout, I was never truly, satisfied with that program. And so it was maybe during my second year where I started composing orchestral music and really started diving into Logic and Contact and understanding virtual instruments. And so I started doing that then, and then I started my YouTube channel. I think it was during my second year, and I was able to start uploading on a regular basis and start growing my channel. And it's just been a really wonderful experience getting to know so many people in the industry, connecting with developers and chatting with people like you, just all of it coming together in a really beautiful way. And so that's where we are today. And I'm really happy that I'm able to work on something I'm enjoying doing. Sorry.
You don't sound very excited at all about any of this.
I know, right? Like I'm so dead, right?
Exactly.
That's great.
I'm a zombie.
So
Yeah.
what university did you go to again? Did you say the
University of Toronto.
Oh yes, yeah, you mentioned. All right, cool. So how did you get into the whole, the DAW thing, the whole electronical thing, or is that sort of something they do nowadays, or in the university?
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, that program itself, the classical piano performance is very traditional. True to its name, it has no technology stuff in it. But it was when I was in maybe high school, maybe 14, 15 years old. One of my friends is actually a DJ, and I was looking over his shoulder one day. I saw he was using Ableton Live, and I was asking him, like, what's going on? So I went over to his house. He showed me a couple things, projects he was working on, and I thought it was really cool. Like, you could produce music on your computer, and it sounds really interesting. And then another friend of mine was also kind of an improviser, and he played piano. And so he liked to come up with ideas all the time. So kind of merging that idea of improvisation, composing with electronic stuff on the computer, kind of bringing those together. And I started composing little piano ideas here and there. But maybe when I was in university, I switched over to Logic, and then I just started experimenting with the stock instruments. And soon after that, I kind of looked into Contact and the native instruments, and then it went on from there.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that you find the most appealing with this, basically?
Oh, I think it's just the fact that I think it's just the fact that you have so much control and possibility over the final product that you want to hear, especially with the technology and the instruments just sounding so good nowadays compared to, let's say, 10 years ago. There really is no excuse to have a subpar mock-up, let's say, if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're like a beginner and you're just starting out, then of course, every project we're learning more and more as the case for all of us. But I think just the fact that we have so much available to us nowadays that it's just so enjoyable to be able to say, oh, I would love if this violin played this note instead, or I want this to go up to this forte dynamic instead and then come down. And, you can just control everything. Whereas in a live performance, sure, it definitely sounds more realistic and natural. But if they make a mistake, then you have to say, okay, can we do that take again? All that stuff.
That is absolutely true. Did
Yeah.
you get a chance to work with a real orchestra then at the university, or?
Not at the university
No.
because it was only piano based,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
That's good.
But there was one class I was in called songwriting, and at the end we had a couple of people in the class who played different instruments, and so there was a violin player, a bass player, drum player. So we were able to bring our songs to life in that class and kind of let the other instrumentalists collaborate with each other to try to produce something beautiful. So that was a lot of fun, but. The only time I really heard my music performed live was when I put together a big band chart at the end of 2019, and it was like a Christmas medley. So I kind of brought it to my high school's jazz band, and I realized I was kind of overshooting a little bit. Like I had a professional band in mind, so I wasn't really considering the high school level, and I definitely learned a lot from that experience. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun nonetheless, for sure.
All right, awesome. Do you have any questions there, Simeon, about that?
Well, I'm just drinking it in. The thing, Chris, that I love about what you do, and now to get to talk to you face to face, is there's just a joyousness that just comes from deep down inside of you. And looking at some of your music videos, it's just like you just sense the joy that you have for music. There's just life and joy and hope that is embedded in what you do. I'm just curious, what do you think was like your like a defining moment for you as a musician up to this point, like something that really kind of like said, this, made you say, this is what I want to do. This is exactly the direction that I want to go. What was there a moment that you felt that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, probably when I still remember this moment pretty clearly, but when I was in high school, our music classroom, there were so many iMacs set up all around the room, and our music teacher, a lot of people didn't really enjoy his teaching style that much because he would give us one thing to do and then he would play on his iPad, But I personally loved him because I got to experiment with GarageBand on the iMac, and I was like, okay, let's make up little piano things here and there. And I remember at the end of maybe 2 weeks of classes, I had like 40 little 30-second snippets of just piano tunes on the thing. And then soon after that, I had my first song that I ever wrote, and it was inspired by a band called Marianas Trench. And there was a lot of like modulations and stuff. And I was like, this is, really cool if I'm able to actually write something original. It feels so much more fulfilling than having to recreate someone else's music, which was, I guess, never something I just felt 100% passionate about. But ever since then, I think I really carried that passion forward. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year, the end of 2019 sorry, 2020, that I really felt that, yeah, I haven't written a song in a long time. I've done orchestral compositions, but for actual songwriting, I haven't actually written something with vocals and lyrics in a long time. And that was my first love in writing anyway. So that's when I decided to put together an album from start to finish. And I just learned a lot from that experience.
Actually,
so
Yep, go ahead.
So 2020 was kind of like cathartic for you and kind of nudged you into that direction. It
Absolutely,
like,
yes. I would say so. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying that when the pandemic started, at that point I was teaching a lot of piano and theory, and I think at that point I had maybe 40 students a week or something, and it was taking up a lot of time, and I was starting to feel mentally drained, and then it wasn't until the pandemic hit and the students had to take a break for a little bit. It gave me a little bit of time to reflect and say, okay, if I have so much more free time now, then I really have no excuse to, relax and just lay back and do nothing. I really need to go all in on YouTube. I need to help more people. I need to make more music. I have to just develop my online brand and presence even more. And that was actually when I started doing a video a day for that month of March in 2020.
Wow.
And that kind of doubled the growth and made it more or less stay consistent throughout. But I'm planning on doing a similar thing next year, and we can talk about that later if you want. But I'm just, while the pandemic is still going on, I do want to take advantage of the extra time that I have and share as much as I can in the time we have with us at the moment. So yeah.
Now, Chris, we're going to maybe do a little experiment here, but what
Yes.
was the so do you have like the songs that you've done? They're on your YouTube channel. Is that correct? What was that first piece that do you have that posted on your channel?
Oh, the very first one. No, I would never show that to anybody. It's literal. Trust me. You wouldn't want to hear it. Only my brother and my mom and dad have heard it, and I tend to keep it that way. But the rest of them, the earliest song I probably have is actually on another channel of mine, and the song is called "Believe," and it's just inspired by Roger Federer, the tennis player, and. Yeah. That's like in the middle of my transition phase over to the orchestral side of things. Like, cause I was writing music 15, 16 years old, and then I kind of took a break, started university, and then I wrote this song, and then took another break, and then came this album. So if anyone is interested in laughing at me, that's a song to check out. But this album, I'm much more proud of, for sure. I feel like. So
is that Freedom? Is that the album Freedom?
Correct. Yes, that's the.
So what would be like one of we can maybe try to look at one of your songs from that album. Which one would you think would be a good representation for us to start with?
Oh man, this is a tough one, because I feel like every single song pulls from some influence in my life. But if I had to pick one, probably Once Again, because I've always wanted to do like a duet song. Mm-hmm. And it's probably the most like Disney style song of them all, if I had to say. And then the other ones are slightly different genres here and there. But overall, I've tried to get this sense of like hope and positivity and, the sweeping nature of the orchestra in the album pretty much. But Once Again is probably one of my favorites, if I had to say.
Okay.
All right, let's see if we can hear it.
Yeah. Here we go.
I thought we had something there, so many things we shared. How did this fall and crumble down? You were there when I needed you, through the happiness and the blues. So why am I feeling so let down?
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's very nice.
But her voice is beautiful.
Yeah, it does help when you have a good singer, doesn't it? But it's very good sound.
Sure.
Did you produce it as well? I mean, or mix and master it, or did you have help?
Yeah, so I basically did all the writing, music, the production, the orchestration, and then one of my subscribers actually offered to mix and master it. So
nice.
he pretty much did the whole album with the exception of one song. But,
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where can you find this music except from on the YouTube channel that you have?
Yeah, I mean it's all on YouTube, but it's also on Spotify. And, Apple Music, wherever you consume music. It's
wherever music is sold by Christopher Siu.
That's right.
Exactly.
With his latest release, Freedom. Hope for tomorrow. Yes.
Beautiful voice. Yes. So yeah, pretty much anywhere where music is. But I just wanted to make it freely available as well, just because I don't really use too many streaming services myself. So I know when I search for music, it's usually through YouTube anyway. But.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I mean, I really enjoy this. I found for some reason, in some circles, Disney is a little bit derogatory, but I still want to use Disney because I really think you have that, and I mean it in a good way. I think
Thank you.
that, I mean, because it is true, whatever you think of Disney, it's true that they hire one of the best composers out there in terms of melody, like catchy stuff that really is engaging and emotive instantly. And I think you've nailed that, and it's really nice to hear. So,
Thank you so much.
So great work. I hope.
I think one of my favorite
Appreciate
Disney musicals was Enchanted. Something about that that movie. I mean, I love it, and those catchy things. I think
Yes.
what you bring to it is you bring your joy, and that's what there's that joy and sense of hopefulness. And I think that's what is that's the good part of Disney. Disney, you know, when you wish upon a star, you know, it's always messages about hope and positivity and things. So the other side of Disney, not so much. But I love the movies and the you know that part of it, which I think you're capturing it beautifully.
Yeah, and
Well,
also
thank you so much. Yeah.
And I also want to add,
And
it's good to write Disney. I just want to say because I don't know, not you guys so much, which I'm very happy for, but a lot of musicians tend to be kind of gloomy and the dark and the sort of it needs to be sort of sad music, which is nice too. And it's really good practice to write sort of, you know, Disney can be sad too, obviously, but to try to make something deep and meaningful, even though it's more joyful. So. Sorry.
Yes. I know for sure. No, I definitely agree with those. And come to think of it now, I mean, yeah, Alan Menken and Disney have definitely played a big influence, but so have, you know, some video game soundtracks like the Super Mario series and
oh man,
like the Galaxy games have some beautiful scores in there that really inspired me as well. But I think I've come to realize that you know, at the very beginning, I was probably a bit worried that I would end up imitating, you know, these people and it wouldn't be so original. And I actually did have a couple of people say, yeah, you kind of have that similar sound now, find your own voice. But I found that as I was writing this album and people started listening to it, they started saying, oh yeah, Chris, there's a variety of styles in here, but they all sound like you. And that I don't know what that means, what kind of sound they're talking about, but at least if they can hear something that they can associate with me, then I know I've done something right. You know?
No, I think you should take it all again. I do watch some Disney movies now again because I have small kids, and it's funny because I listen to them with totally different ear because now I hear all the songs. I'm like, oh damn, wow, that chord change was really cool there. Nice. So so I'm very impressed, and I realize that the guys who make music at Disney, they're good. It's like really good. The melodies and everything. It's just the theme they're finding. It's impressive. So you should just, you know, that you sound like anyone Disney, whatever. No problem. I'm not saying you do, but if somebody says that, so whatever.
Right.
You know? It's not. You know. By the way, I have a question for Tammy here, if that's okay. He says here, he was watching the interview you did with Anne Catherine Dern, which I watched a little bit as well. Maybe somebody we should have on someday. She's a great woman. And he says it was great to learn about your cooperation with her on the movie score. So are you at liberty to say what movie that was? He's asking.
Yes. The movie's called Her Pen Pal, and it was a Hallmark movie. And it should be freely available anywhere, I believe. I actually put together a video breaking down 2 of the cues I did for the film, actually. So that's on my channel as well. And yeah, if you're curious on watching it, it's a romantic comedy. I really enjoyed watching the movie, and I thought, like, sure, you could call it cheesy, but still, it was a lot of fun to watch and kind of work with. So yeah. Oh
well, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah. You
sure.
did say that, didn't you? Anyway, yeah, but that was that question there. I wanted to, unless you had a question there, Simeon, I wanted to. Why did you start a YouTube channel? I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't think I've ever been asked that question before, but I think when I discovered YouTube and it was starting to become like a thing, I guess I started to see people having channels and sharing their thoughts on things. And I was, you know, a young teenager at that time, so I was still pretty impressionable, and I've always wanted to create a channel myself. So my very first YouTube channel, I believe, was a card trick channel, and I did a lot of like magic tricks when I was younger, and that was a lot of fun. And then I started like a tennis channel where I uploaded like occasional highlights of me playing with friends, and then I uploaded like a piano only channel where I just upload piano performances. But I guess while I was in university, I was like, okay, I kind of discovered that I wanted to write music and wanted to do more composing and orchestration stuff. And none of those channels really fit into that theme. And I was like, okay, I want a fresh start. I'm just going to call it my name, and it's going to be all about the music making process. And it was around that same time that I also discovered a business channel from a guy who's basically made a living from doing YouTube and selling courses and stuff. And it just really changed my perspective on how money can be made on YouTube, at the same time sharing with other people and adding value to other people. And so that really kickstarted that journey there. And it just gave me a vision to look forward to after I graduated from my program.
Yeah. It does seem to help, actually, to have a YouTube as well, because you have to produce more. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I had written a piece of music, and I was like, well, this is like a Nintendo-inspired piece, and none of my other channels really align with that vision. So I started the channel, put it up there, and then just started making videos from there. So.
Do you actually think that it's? Oh, sorry. Are we still back? Yeah. Some audio. Simeon disappeared. He might come back. Yeah. So the question was, do you actually think it's necessary to have a YouTube channel today if you want to be a composer?
I guess it really depends on what you want to do with the channel and where you see yourself in the future. The thing I would recommend is that most people, or actually every musician or composer, if they want to have some sort of opportunity to compose in the future for some film or TV or whatever it is to have some sort of online presence. And YouTube is really for me, the best way to do that, because whatever content you put out there, it is evergreen and it stays on the platform forever. If you put something on Instagram, it gets caught up in the wash of content and it just fades away after a little bit. But the general idea of YouTube for me is that if I can upload content that helps people and they want to see more of what I have to offer, then I have other resources behind the door that I can offer them in exchange for an email address, for example. So I can contact them privately and offer them things that they might appreciate even further. But for the people who are just looking around and they want to get a sense of, oh, how do I write a piece of music, or how do I orchestrate something? How do I write this violin line? Then there are plenty of YouTube videos available to help you with that. But as a composer yourself, I think it's important to just, even if it's just posting your own music on the channel and then having some sort of consistent output, that can keep you top of mind for directors or whoever it is, editors looking for some music, for example. And if they show up when they're looking for music, then there's a higher chance of them hiring you compared to if you didn't have anything up there in the first place. Sort of online presence, whether that's on YouTube or even SoundCloud or whatever it is. If you're consistent with it and you treat it as part of your routine, then I think you're already setting yourself up much better for success compared to, let's say, 95% of other composers.
Yeah, I tend to agree. What do you think, Simeon?
Getting yourself into as many platforms as you can, because it's just so crowded. This space is so crowded, and so you have to kind of get a little bit above the crowd sometimes. But having the different flows, kind of help maximize that a little bit better. Speaking of your online presence, you mentioned something about offering other things to users, and so would you like to talk about your website as far as some of the things that you're doing with that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the beginning of I guess last year was when I really started to go super deep into the channel, make sure that everything I was putting out was relevant and helpful and valuable. And I was starting to get a lot of questions like, do you have something that's more in-depth and that kind of puts everything together in a specific framework? And so that made a lot of sense for me to put a course together. And so I called it Cinematic Music Creation. And it's basically like my flagship course that kind of goes from like the very beginning to the end of coming up with your ideas and then understanding the music theory of how to apply those ideas, developing, your idea, your compositions, and so on, and then producing it, orchestrating it, mixing, mastering it. So it's basically how I would approach the whole music making process. So that's the one that I mainly offer for the new people that join me. And excuse me, there's also like a discount as well for those new subscribers. But Yeah, and I'm planning on some other material for next year. But at the moment, songwriting for animation is another course that specifically focuses more on the Nintendo Disney style of writing, which I'm
Nice.
of course very passionate about. And then I just recently launched Chris's Composing Community.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I'm just like, man, there's just so much here. I mean, I keep scrolling down. It's like more things pop up. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
So I should clarify.
Hey, listen,
that
I am already a subscriber, so I need to send you an email so I can get some, get into this.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Thank you.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Well, those bottom 5 on the page, those are actually little mini courses that are actually pulled from cinematic music creation. Because some people were asking, can you take some of those individual modules out? Because maybe I'm just interested in the theory part or just the orchestration part. So I've done that for now. That might change in the future as I start to upgrade the product line more. But if there's any way that you want to go deeper and just see everything in a very structured order, because that's the thing about YouTube is you can talk about something, but it's like a 10, 15, 30-minute video and you can't cover everything. So the benefit of course is that, of course it takes you all the way through from start to finish.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very clever to do it that way. Actually, I just want to ask, you have such lovely energy and your music is very joyful and you have time to do all this stuff and you have 40 students. Or how do you get the energy? I mean, so I was wondering, do you do something? You have a routine? Do you take care of yourself, or how do you do it?
Yeah, no, that's great. I guess like maybe the beginning of this year, I was trying to be more disciplined with myself, and so I would wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I would try to get in a workout before actually starting the day. And I found that when you actually do a workout, if it's not overly strenuous, but you do some cardio, you do some strength training, then it helps you to kind of get your creative juices flowing as well. And so when it comes to actually working or arranging, producing, whatever it is, you just feel better, right? And so it naturally gives you some better results. So I definitely want to stay more consistent with that. And it's kind of been on and off, but I found that on the days that I do exercise and I do eat better, then the work and the overall energy is definitely higher than if I didn't do it.
Do you take coffee?
Yeah.
No,
well,